Here's everything that you need to know about driving in Jordan. We've been on a road trip around Jordan for the last few days. Today we're driving from the city of Madaba to the city of Azraq in the west. And I wanted to share some tips that I've picked up about Jordan driving along the way. So this is the car that we've hired. We hired from Monte Carlo Rent-A-Car. So far, we found them to have really great customer service, a wide range of vehicles, and competitive rates. They operate in cities all around Jordan, including at Amman Airport, which brings me to my next tip for driving in Jordan, and that is rent a car from Amman Airport rather than Amman. Monte Carlo will actually drop a car off in Amman for you if you want, but that does mean that you have to drive in Amman. So if you are driving anywhere south of the capital, it just makes sense to Uber to their rental office at Amman Airport and then drive south from there. And then you avoid Amman's hectic traffic. So generally the driving in Jordan is decent. There's not very many cars on the road, which makes it a lot easier. And some roads you can drive down and you literally won't see another car for a good 20 minutes or so. In the towns, it can be a bit more hectic and you can find that you get beeped quite a lot. So don't take that personally. And you just have to kind of have your wits about you. You have to drive a bit more defensively than you might do elsewhere. So yeah, learn driving etiquette before you come to Jordan, but also don't be terrified because it isn't... I think you're in the wrong lane, babe.
Well, there's no lane mark.
No, there's not. There's not.
Arrows. The last one, you had to be in the left lane to go over.
Yeah, true. There's no lane markings in a lot of places, so...
This is one of the first speed limit signs.
Yeah, this is one of the first speed limit signs.
Well, 20 minutes.
The speed limit is generally 110 on the highways, but it can change a lot depending on whether you're in a town or going into a residential area, etc. So do be mindful of that. Never drive more than 110. And if you are coming into a residential area, then get your speed down to like 70 as you're coming in, and then as you're going through, it's usually 50. The next thing to talk about is speed bumps, and these are probably the nemesis of anyone who's renting a car in Jordan. That did not seem so bad. But these speed bumps are everywhere. We've seen them on the highway. We've seen them on a slip road. Usually they are when you're coming into residential areas, so usually it is for good reason, but they can be in very obscure places and they're not always signposted, so you really have to look out for them. You can usually just about make them out if they're not signposted, but just make sure you keep an eye out for them and cut your speed down before you go over them, because otherwise you can damage your car. But as you can see, we're just outside of Madaba now and the roads have really quietened down, and this is what it's like for most of Jordan, to be honest.
It's 110.
Yeah.
When you've got 3 lanes, then...
Now it's 60 kilometres. I guess we're coming into another town, I think. But that'd be why. Yeah. And it's over 40 now, babe. And this likely means that there'll be a speed bump at some point. One up here. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, and then it's 80 again up here. So it's literally just for this junction. It goes without saying, but if you're from a country where you drive on the left, like the UK or Ireland or Australia, then make sure that you remember to drive on the right. I struggle a bit with my left and right, so the way I remember it is that as the driver, I always need to be towards the middle of the road, which obviously is the case for anywhere you are as long as you're using the appropriate sided vehicle. And we ended up with an automatic car. We did book a manual, but Monte Carlo very kindly upgraded us. Do you think the automatic's been better, Rich? I think it has.
It's made it a bit easier once you get a hang of the automatic.
Yeah.
Most people probably know how to drive automatic.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as long as you know the basics of driving an automatic, which is much easier than a manual, but you just got to remember to not use your left foot at all, then I think it is easier. But it obviously takes a minute to remember how to drive an automatic. I drove one all the way around Australia, so I think I remembered it quite quickly.
Yeah, I'd never really jumped one before.
No, you hadn't driven. Yeah. And when we got in the very first time you drove, you put your...
Yeah, I was using my left
You
foot.
put your right foot on the accelerator and your left foot on the brake, didn't you? So you've just got to remember not to do that, because that is I think that's like the worst thing you can do in an automatic. Now, there are three main highways that go up and down Jordan. There's the Desert Highway, the King's Highway, and the Dead Sea Highway. So obviously you're going to use the Dead Sea Highway when you're going to the Dead Sea. We haven't actually been down that one yet, but it looks really, really beautiful. So looking forward to road tripping that. We've done the Desert Highway and the King's Highway, and we travelled up the King's Highway to get from Petra to Madaba. That was probably took twice as long. It took about 5 or 6 hours as opposed to about 2.5, 3 hours. But it is much more interesting. You go through a lot of interesting towns. There's a lot of diverse scenery. It's more like up in the mountains, so you have a bit of the highland, whereas the Desert Highway just kind of goes through the desert.
Aqaba Airport.
Yeah, Aqaba Airport. So we're just coming, at the moment we're on the King's Highway and we're just coming off onto the Desert Highway for the next leg of our journey. Airport Aqaba, yeah, so take the right slip road.
Slight right onto the Rams Airport,
Yeah.
then merge onto Queen Ali Airport Road.
Yep, and then go round. So this is one of the busier highways, as you can see. This looks much more like a motorway. Another random little tip is to bring a, like, what do you call them? Bring a phone holder for your car to use it as a sat-nav. I don't know exactly what they're called, but yeah, a car phone holder basically. Bring one of those out with you. We've gotten so used to using ours in the UK, so we've always got the sat nav on, and actually in this car we haven't been able to, like, the person who's driving can't see the navigation, which does make it a bit more complicated. If you can bring one of those out, and if you can get one that doesn't like leave a mark on the car, or I don't know, you could just ask the car hire company if you can just leave it there, because it'll. You can get a magnetic one, yeah. So if you can bring something like that out with you, that could help a lot. Another thing that's worth knowing, especially as you come into the towns, is that pedestrians have right of way in Jordan. I'm not sure exactly what that means, whether pedestrians can just walk across the road at any time and that means they have right of way. But just do bear that in mind and be very careful, because you might find that people are crossing the road quite a lot. And then quite quickly you come to this kind of road. So this is just a single lane road. This is busier than other single lane roads we've been on, but like still not exactly busy. And cars do overtake on this road, but my huge recommendation would be not to overtake unless you can see very far into the future. I was going to say into the distance, and you are 100% sure that it's all right too, because I've seen some quite hair-raising overtakes. We're getting petrol. This is only the second time we've had to get petrol since we've been here, because the driving distances in Jordan are relatively short. You don't actually have to fill up that often. So you literally just come to the petrol station and someone will fill it up for you. But before you take your car rental away, I'd recommend checking how to open the petrol cap, just so you know. And then, yeah, you literally just park up, tell them how much you want. We just said full. And then you can, everywhere we've paid up, well, the two places we've bought petrol so far, you can pay in cash or card. So we've just put about 3/4 of a tank in, and it's come to 30 Jordanian dinar. 31 Jordanian dinar. Full tank of petrol. Yalla.
Yalla. Cool. Shukran.
Shukran. That wasn't as much honking as previously. So the one time that I remember to record that is the one time it doesn't happen as much. But you do have to get quite used to honking when you're driving in Jordan. So people always honk at traffic lights a lot. Like as soon as it turns green, the second it turns green, you'll hear honking. I think it's just a natural reaction that people just use as another way to let people know that the lights turn green. I don't think it's necessarily honking for people to move. I think it is just it's turned green, so they're letting you know it's turned green, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of honking for everything, which you do just need to get used to. Another thing that's important to know when driving in Jordan is that there are a few police checks, but they're really not a big deal. So we have only been stopped twice. I think they were both on the Desert Highway, wasn't it? And the first time we were stopped and we showed the police our papers, and he looked at the papers. Rich had his driving licence, but they didn't even look at the driving licence. The second time we were stopped, and I think he saw that we were tourists, so then he just waved us on. And every other time we've seen a policeman and we sort of slowed down and then they've just waved us on. So they can stop you, and if they do, they might ask to see your papers and your driving licence. But if they do, they'll probably just give it a quick look over, and then that's fine. But in our experience, most of the time, you won't even stop. You might also see a few hitchhikers while you're driving around Jordan. I have no idea about the legalities of hitchhiking, especially as a tourist. I imagine that people would be very helpful, because people are very helpful everywhere. But yeah, like I say, no idea about the legalities of it. But you will see quite a few as you're driving around. We haven't picked anyone up, but oh, watch out. You do have to drive a bit defensively, but it's not too bad. Like, again, we're driving, and as you can see, there really aren't that many cars on the road. We were just stopped at another police checkpoint. I thought it was probably a good idea to not actually film the checkpoint. But again, we stopped. He did stop the car, and we stopped, and then I think he just saw we were tourists and just waved us on. So that happens most of the time. Like I say, you might be asked to show your papers or your licence, but that's pretty much it. It's very chill.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's helped you if you're planning a road trip in Jordan as well. I've got so many more Jordan videos, so make sure you're following along to see them all. Hope to see you next time.